It's often said that all good things must come to an end. And it's often said because it tends to be true. With Infinity War, we have the penultimate chapter in the overall saga of the Marvel movies. And the people behind the Marvel movies openly admitted they didn't have a clear pathway to it. They kind of made it up as they went along. And it shows, watching all the movies, the flaws began to stick out more so than when I saw it initially. But I still like the movies. I still have my favorites, the excellent ones, whether it being Iron Man and Captain America Winter Soldier, and the really good ones with Doctor Strange. The Thor movie was actually pretty good. I was surprised there. I thought I would think, yeah, it's kind of the weaker of the bunch, but no, they're not that bad. Ragnarok was crazy and so divergent from the others, but still. Quite a few, and the others that are just fairly adequate, it still works for its narrative leading up to this payoff of this glorious coming together in the Avengers Infinity War, which is actually Marvel Part 1 Infinity War, because the Avengers are just guest starring in the overall movie here. I mean, besides they broke up, of course. Now, right off the bat, what are the flaws of them? Primarily, it's the Marvel humor template that became so prevalent going forward as they kept going more and more movies. And it got to the point where the humor was stepping on the toes of the film. And this is no different for Infinity War. And I'll make an example here because we last left off with Thor Ragnarok, and they're on their way to build a new Asgard, apparently on Earth. But, Thanos' ship shows up. Well, we see what happens. Thanos attacks and pretty much decimates the Asgardian ship. There's Asgardians dead all over the place. And Thor and Loki take him on, but Loki dies. And Heimdall saves the Hulk after the Hulk gets beaten by Thanos, which just goes to show you how powerful the man is, and Heimdall dies. So now it's down to just Thor, and there's a demonstration of the love and pain that existed between Thor and Loki, and both men, or gods, I guess, try to save the other, and Loki ends up dying for it. And Thor is left in the devastated ruins of the ship as Thanos runs away with his new stone. All that's good stuff and powerful drama, and it sets up the dread of how dark this movie's going to get for our heroes. Then Thor meets the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, the Guardians of the Galaxy, as they're introduced, they're singing to Quill's, mixtape and all that stuff, and they're cracking wise, and that's just how they roll, and it's all fine. It's all fine at that point, and then Thor smashes into the windshield like a bug, and tee-hee. And so, okay, they bring him on the ship, and when Thor wakes up, he begins to interact with the humor. No, he would not do that. I know he just came out of Thor Ragnarok, which was basically Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but that doesn't matter. He's lost everything. He's not in the mood for that crap. He's not going to show off in front of Quill's girlfriend and all that type of stuff. It was just a mistake. Fortunately, it's rather brief, but man. Despite all that, they do come up with a plan on what to do, and they split up. And fortunately, Thor is just with Groot and Rocket, who at this point tend to be the best of Guardians of the Galaxy. So off they go, and we meet a dwarf, a very giant dwarf, played by Peter Dinklage, who has to build Thor a new hammer. Now, this is interesting because in Thor Ragnarok, it was revealed that the power of the hammer was actually Thor himself, and the hammer was there just to help him focus it. And so he didn't really need it. And he explodes with lightning and attacks and fights off Hela's army of the dead and all that stuff. Apparently, he forgot how against Thanos. There's another flaw. There's quite a few flaws all through these movies. I mean, Thanos sends Loki after the Avengers in the first Avengers with the scepter that apparently it has an Infinity Stone in it. You gave an Infinity Stone away. Because they didn't know it was at the time. I don't know. And so, things like that keep happening. But now Thor needs a new hammer, so the guy is going to build him one, but Thanos had already devastated the forge to get his gauntlet made. But, of course, Thor can refire it and all that despite the dangers to him, but he powers through, so he's certainly still a very powerful entity, but Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this half works. So there's Thor getting ready to go, and it's all well and good. And he and Rocket, who he calls Rabbit, Thor's not trying to be funny, but he is, and that works because he's still on his mission, but he doesn't understand the silliness of what he's saying. That's fine. There's other elements of humor with Tony Stark. It's fine. It works. Bruce Banner gets there. He finds Doctor Strange. He warns them about Thanos. Doctor Strange recruits Tony Stark despite his semi-retirement. He's wearing the chest plates, which Pepper notices. But when Banner can't change into the Hulk when they need him to, there's the line, "You're embarrassing me in front of the wizards." It's funny, and it works. It fits in within the scene. The Black Order shows up. They have their battle, and Iron Man chases along with Spider-Man after Doctor Strange, who gets abducted. Now, Doctor Strange, in my opinion, is the most important character to watch in this film. At one point, he's attacked by, I forget the guy's name, but the Black Order guy who attacks him, and Doctor Strange is working his spells, and he says, "I'll just kill the sorcerer and end the spell." Doctor Strange explains that's not how you break a spell. You can kill the sorcerer, but the spell still goes on. And that's pretty significant, I think. I haven't seen Endgame, but, And then, of course, not only does Doctor Strange name the sequel, which is a term that was used in earlier movies, but still, he names it. And plus, he's already seen Endgame before we did, because he takes time to see the possible timelines in the future of where they could possibly beat Thanos. And he finds one out of, I forget how many million he looked at, and he finds one. So when they go through the big battle, because there's two climactic battles here, one in Wakanda and one on Titan, and the one on Titan to me is far more exciting and important. They almost win. They get the glove. And it kind of caused to Tony a lesson that he learned the hard way about, and it's understandable why he reacted the way he did in Civil War against Winter Soldier, but it broke up the Avengers and it put them in this state. And so now Peter Quill's in the same position. Why? Well, because in order to get the Soul Stone, Gamora had to be sacrificed by Thanos, and much to Gamora's shock, she learns that Thanos actually does love her, even though it's an insane love based on this crazy monster who thinks he can save the universe by killing half of it, based on an idiot idea that it's finite in the sense that the resources are finite. And plus, even if you did, sooner or later, it'll be irrelevant because, people are like rabbits. So you have to kill them again later. I don't know. But anyway, so he's crazy. And, but so there you go. And it's a good scene, very creepy and weird. You see the fate of the Red Skull, where he's forced to be merely a guide for people to see if they are up to and it'd be interesting to see if Steve Rogers runs into him as well at this, maybe not. Anyway, so there's the fate of the Red Skull. It's not Hugo Weaving, but good enough. And so now Quill realizes that this is what happened. She did this. She went with Thanos because in order to save her sister. And that's another kind of a repeat of like the relationship between Loki and Thor, where the brothers do love each other, but at the same time they're jealous and hateful of each other and back and forth. So the sisters love each other in the end too. When it was really down, they went to save each other. And now Nebula, well, she's wanting revenge too. And hopefully, I'm thinking if anyone's going to get the kill shot on Thanos in Endgame, it should be Nebula. But anyway, so Quill loses his mind. They almost have the gauntlet and he ruins it. And Thanos is back in action and he wipes them out. Now, the interesting thing about Thanos is that earlier when they went to go confront the Collector for his Infinity Stone, it's too late. Thanos is already there and they have a confrontation with him. And Gamora tells Quill, you got to kill me if he captures me, and he actually tries, but it's too late because Thanos can manipulate reality with the Reality Stone, and he even turns Mantis and Drax into pieces of rock, I guess, whatever, they fall apart. And so why doesn't he just do that to Tony and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and all of them? I don't know. They didn't explain it. They didn't explain how Tony could figure out how to steer the ship. But Doctor Strange is right there. So you could have used Doctor Strange to say, I've cast a spell and I've read the mind of one of the crew. They confront Thanos. Strange is able to cast a spell for some amount of protection they have against some of the abilities that he has, so it makes it that much harder for Thanos to fight them. Something like that. They just don't do it. It's not there on the screen, so, well, maybe he did. Yeah, I don't like that. You know, you got to have something there, because then it's just you forgot, and that's what it is. But does it matter ultimately? No, it doesn't take away from the film so badly that it just, you can't enjoy it. No, you can. And so the Wakandan battle also has a similar thing for, like there's these mirrors or echoes between the characters, like the two sisters and their love-hate relationship, the two brothers, their love-hate relationship. Then you have Quill and Gamora, the lovers being forced to have to kill one or the other. And then here you have Scarlet Witch and the Vision, who, and actually, unlike Black Widow and the Hulk, their relationship got enough time to show it develop. It was very brief and small, but it was more than what the Hulk and Black Widow got. So it lends some credibility to it. So now they're practically married at this point. They're a couple, and Scarlet Witch finds herself in the position where she's forced to kill the Vision while he's begging her to do it in order to save the universe. And it's very powerful, and the emotion is very raw, and it's very well done. And she shatters the stone, thus killing the Vision. Now, the Wakandans were trying to make a substitute to save him, but they ran out of time. The invasion was on, and the best they could do wasn't enough to stop Thanos' forces. And Thanos himself shows up, and she manages to do it. And there you go. The Vision has been destroyed. And Thanos says, yeah, I understand what you did, but I got some bad news for you. I have the time stone. So he recreates the Vision, and there's the stone. He takes it and then kills the Vision himself. So Thor, the rest of the Avengers fight him, but it's all pointless. They can't beat him. Then Thor shows up and probably would have delivered the death blow, but he didn't aim for the head with his brand new hammer. And Thanos is able to do the snap. Now, here again is a little bit of a problem. Is like, where the hell was Thor when they were fighting him? I mean, he's still fighting the lizard creatures or whatever they were. I guess, there again, I kind of have to a lot of fill in the blanks in the script here. But nevertheless, it's too little, too late, and that's it. Half the universe is wiped out. We watch their friends fade away. Everybody fades away rather quickly except Spider-Man. It lingers on for a while because he's Spider-Man. Even in that, another, I think, was a mistake. You didn't need it to linger like that. You can make the point that this is devastating for Tony Stark. He's been horribly defeated, probably the worst defeat since he was captured by those terrorists in Afghanistan, and he's sitting there powerless and helpless, bleeding from his wound, and his sort of adopted son, if you will, dies in front of him begging, scared to death of dying, and there's nothing he can do. You didn't need it to go on as long as it did, unless you were going to have the others take a while to fade. I don't know, but they just poof and they're gone, and Spider-Man, it takes a while. Well, how does that thing work? We really don't know, and all that. But again, an important bit of dialogue is between Stark and Strange, who don't like each other because they're exactly alike. But nevertheless, Strange had told them earlier, it's like, no matter what happens, I will defend the stone, even if it means sacrificing your lives. And yet, he sacrifices the stone, seemingly to save Tony Stark. And then as he's fading away, he's telling him, Tony, it's the way it had to go. Now, what does he mean by that? He said, I had no choice. I wasn't going to let you die when it came down to it. No, it's because he saw the future. Again, he saw Endgame before any of it. He names the title. He told them there was only one way. And even though he knew the outcome of their battle, he lets it play out because he knows it's the only way they can beat him, and they have to lose in order to beat Thanos. And it's the only way to do it. And so I'm not sure how that'll be. Of course, we got to go see Endgame, but I'm guessing the way they set it up, if they thought this through, that perhaps, just perhaps, Strange did do a spell on the Time Stone. So, we'll see. I mean, it's going to end up involving Ant-Man. From the Ant-Man movie, you see that the reason he wasn't there is because they were off on their own little adventure, and he ended up in the quantum realm when his friends faded away. So who knows what that has to do with it, but we'll find out. Yes, we will. So there you go, Infinity War, a great penultimate chapter, if you will, that does give promise to a great payoff, and hopefully Endgame does just that. As for the stinger leading to Captain Marvel, well, what a lazy way to shoehorn a character in. It's just, a lot of people were saying, gee, wouldn't it have been cool if it had been a 4, meaning the Fantastic Four? But it also brings up the plot holes of why did Nick Fury never use that thing? So, what are you going to do? But still, the movie holds up. It's a fun adventure, a sad adventure, and it's more to the point for Iron Man, who started this and guided us to this thing, and to see him so broken and defeated when he doesn't deserve it. He's learned his lessons. He's a mature hero here, and still everything he did, everything he threw, and he still lost. So very powerful stuff. But of course, we know the next movie will turn it around some kind of way, but we'll find out how. All right, thank you for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends, and if you didn't like the video, well, I thank you for taking the time anyway. For those of you who have subscribed, thank you very much. And hey, while you're here, check out that link in the description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you.